It was a Thursday night and I was doing what I always do after work. Sitting at my computer, headphones on, lost in my own little world. I'm a software developer, which basically means I spend most of my time staring at screens and typing code. Not the most exciting life I know, but it pays the bills and I enjoy the peace and quiet of my little townhouse. The clock on my desk showed 10:30 p.m. I was just about to call it a night when I heard it. 3 loud knocks on my front door. Not the casual, friendly kind of knocks you hear during the day. These were urgent, almost desperate. I pulled off my headphones and listened. Maybe I imagined it, but then it came again. Knock, knock, knock. Harder this time. My heart started beating a bit faster. Who visits someone at this hour? I live alone and I'm not exactly the social butterfly type. Most of my neighbors are either elderly couples or young families who are fast asleep by 9. This was definitely unusual. I walked to the door slowly, trying to peek through the peephole first. Standing outside was my neighbor from 2 houses down. I'd seen her around the neighborhood, sure. We'd exchanged the usual good morning and nice weather today kind of talk, maybe 4 or 5 times in the past year. But that was about it. I didn't even know her name properly. When I opened the door, I could tell something was really wrong. Her hair was a mess, like she'd been running her hands through it repeatedly. Her eyes were red and puffy, and there was this look on her face that I can only describe as pure panic mixed with exhaustion. "I'm so sorry to bother you this late," she said, her voice shaking. "I know we don't really know each other, but I need your help. I really need a favor, and I promise I wouldn't ask if I had any other choice." I stood there, probably looking confused and concerned at the same time. "What do you even say to that?" Before I could respond, she continued talking, the words rushing out of her mouth like she'd been holding them in for hours. "It's about my daughter. I need someone to watch her for a few hours. Just tonight. Maybe until morning. There's a family emergency and I have to leave right now. And I can't take her with me, please. I know this is strange, but I have nobody else." I glanced past her shoulder and saw a car parked in front of my house with its engine still running. In the back seat, I could make out a small figure. A child, maybe 7 or 8 years old, leaning against the window with a backpack clutched in her arms. My mind was racing. This whole situation felt bizarre. I'm a single guy in my 30s with 0 experience with kids. I don't have children of my own. I don't even have nieces or nephews. The last time I spent time with a child was probably when I was a child myself. "I don't know," I started to say, but she interrupted me. "Please, I can see you're a good person. I've noticed how you help Mrs. Rodriguez next door with her groceries. How you shovel the snow from the sidewalk in winter even though nobody asks you to. I trust you, and right now that's all I have." There was something in her eyes, real fear, the kind you can't fake. This wasn't some scam or weird scheme. This woman was genuinely terrified and desperate. Against every logical bone in my body telling me this was a bad idea, I heard myself say, "Okay, yes, I'll help." The relief that washed over her face was immediate. She grabbed my hand and squeezed it. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll be back by morning. I promise." She rushed back to her car and opened the back door. I watched as she gently woke up her daughter and helped her out. The little girl was wearing pink pajamas with stars on them and fuzzy slippers. She looked sleepy and confused, clutching a worn-out teddy bear under one arm and her backpack in the other hand. "This is my neighbor," the woman said to her daughter softly. "You're going to stay with him for a little while, okay? Mommy has to go take care of something, but I'll be back very soon." The girl nodded but didn't say anything. She just held her mother's hand tighter. The woman knelt down and hugged her daughter so tight I thought she might never let go. She whispered something in her ear that I couldn't hear, kissed her forehead, and then stood up quickly. I could see tears forming in her eyes. "Her name is Lily," she told me. "She's 7. She's a good kid. She won't give you any trouble. There's some snacks in her backpack and her stuffed bear. She can't sleep without it." Before I could ask any questions like where she was going or how to contact her or what exactly qualified as a family emergency, she was already getting back in her car. She rolled down the window one last time. "I'll explain everything when I get back. I promise. Just keep her safe. That's all I ask." And then she drove off. Fast. I watched her taillights disappear around the corner. And suddenly I was standing in my doorway with a child I'd never met before, feeling completely and utterly out of my depth. Lily looked up at me with big brown eyes. She didn't look scared exactly, more like resigned. Like this wasn't the first strange thing that had happened to her recently. "Hi," I said, trying to sound friendly and normal. "I guess you're staying here tonight. Do you want to come inside?" She nodded and walked past me into my house, still clutching that teddy bear like her life depended on it. I closed the door and locked it, my mind spinning with questions. What had I just agreed to? What kind of family emergency requires you to drop your child off with a virtual stranger at 10:30 at night? And why did her mother look so scared? I showed Lily to my guest room, which thankfully I keep relatively clean. I almost never have guests, but at least the bed was made and the room didn't smell weird or anything. "You can sleep here," I told her. "Are you hungry, thirsty? Do you need anything?" She shook her head and sat on the edge of the bed, placing her teddy bear next to her. Her backpack fell to the floor with a soft thud. "Okay, well, I'll be right down the hall if you need anything. Just call out and I'll hear you." As I turned to leave, she finally spoke. Her voice was small but clear. "My mom's in trouble, isn't she?" I froze. What do you say to that? How do you respond to a 7-year-old who's asking questions you don't have answers to? "I'm sure everything will be fine," I said, trying to sound reassuring even though I had no idea if that was true. "Your mom will be back before you know it." But even as I said it, I wasn't convinced. And looking at Lily's face, I could tell she wasn't either. I left her in the guest room and went back to my living room, my peaceful evening completely shattered. I tried calling the number that had shown up on my caller ID earlier, thinking maybe her mother had called before knocking. But it went straight to voicemail. I paced around my living room wondering if I should call the police. But what would I even say? A neighbor asked me to babysit and I said yes? That's not exactly a crime. Something felt wrong though. Really wrong. And as the night stretched on, I had this growing feeling that I'd just stepped into something much bigger and more complicated than a simple favor for a neighbor. Little did I know, I was absolutely right. The first hour went by slowly, really slowly. I kept checking on Lily every 15 minutes, peeking into the guest room to make sure she was okay. She'd curled up on the bed with her teddy bear but wasn't sleeping, just staring at the ceiling with those big eyes of hers. Around midnight, she came out of the room. I was sitting on my couch, phone in hand, debating for the 100th time whether I should call someone. The police, child services, anyone who might know what to do in this situation. "I can't sleep," she said quietly, standing in the doorway in her star pajamas. "That's okay," I replied, putting my phone down. "Do you want some water? Or maybe some warm milk? I think I have some cookies somewhere." She nodded and followed me to the kitchen. I found some chocolate chip cookies I'd bought last week and poured her a glass of milk. She sat at my kitchen table, dunking cookies and swinging her legs that didn't quite reach the floor. "Your house is nice," she said between bites. "It's quiet. Yeah, it usually is. I live alone, so it's pretty peaceful most of the time." "We used to live in a quiet house too," she said. "But then things got loud." I didn't know what she meant by that, but something in the way she said it made my stomach twist. This kid had seen something. Experienced something that no 7-year-old should have to deal with. "Do you want to tell me what's going on?" I asked gently. "Maybe I can help." She looked at me for a long moment like she was deciding whether she could trust me. Finally she spoke. "There's a man. He's been following us. Mom and me. For a few weeks now my blood ran cold. Following you?" "Are you sure?" She nodded. "Mom doesn't think I notice things, but I do. I saw him at the grocery store, then outside my school, then parked across from our house at night. He drives a black car. Mom got really scared when she realized I'd seen him too. This was getting worse by the second. I tried to keep my voice calm. "Did your mom tell you why this man might be following you?" She said she saw something she wasn't supposed to see, at work, and now bad people want to make sure she doesn't tell anyone. 7 years old and talking about being followed by dangerous people. What kind of situation had this woman gotten herself into? More importantly, what had I gotten myself into by agreeing to help? "Where does your mom work?" I asked, at the bank downtown. "The big one with the blue sign." I nodded, trying to piece things together. A bank employee who witnessed something she shouldn't have. People following her. The panic in her eyes when she dropped Lily off. None of this was adding up to anything good. "Listen, Lily, everything's going to be okay. You're safe here. Nobody knows you're here except your mom, right?" She nodded, but then her face changed. She looked worried. "What is it?" I asked. "Mom told me not to tell anyone about the man. She said we had to keep it secret." "It's okay." You can tell me. I'm trying to help. We sat there in silence for a minute, and then Lily did something that surprised me. She reached into her backpack and pulled out a small notebook. She opened it and showed me a page. There were names written in her mother's handwriting. Dates, numbers. It looked like some kind of record or log. Mom said if anything happened to her, I should show this to someone I trust, someone who could help. My hands were shaking as I looked at the notebook. I had no idea what I was looking at exactly, but it was clearly important enough that her mother had made sure Lily knew to protect it. Can I take a picture of these pages? I asked, just in case. Lily nodded, and I quickly snapped photos with my phone. As I was putting the notebook back in her backpack, I noticed something else. A small folded piece of paper tucked into the front pocket. What's this? I asked, pulling it out. A note. Mom put it there before we came here. I unfolded it and read the message written in hurried handwriting. Keep her safe. Trust no one. We'll explain everything. I'm sorry, trust no one. Those words hit me hard. If I wasn't supposed to trust anyone, did that mean calling the police was a bad idea? Was her mother running from the law or running from criminals? Or both? I decided to hold off on calling anyone until I knew more. At least until morning. How about we watch something on TV? I suggested, trying to distract both of us from the heavy situation. Do you like cartoons? Lily's face brightened a little. Can we watch the one with the talking animals who go on adventures? Sure, I think I can find that. We settled on the couch and I put on a streaming service. Lily curled up on one end with her teddy bear, and slowly, finally, she started to relax. The tension in her small shoulders eased as she got absorbed in the colorful characters on screen. I made us both hot chocolate, and for a brief moment, things felt almost normal. Just a guy and a kid watching cartoons in the middle of the night. But every time I glanced at my phone or heard a car pass by outside, the reality of the situation came rushing back. Around 2 a.m, I noticed something that made my heart stop. Through the gap in my curtains, I saw headlights moving very slowly down my street. A car was crawling past the houses like someone was looking for something, or someone. I got up quietly and moved to the window, staying hidden behind the curtain. It was a dark sedan, black or maybe dark blue. It rolled past my house once, then circled back and did it again. Lily noticed I'd gotten up. What's wrong? She asked. Nothing, I lied. Just checking something, but it wasn't nothing. Someone was out there looking, and I had a terrible feeling they were looking for the little girl sitting on my couch. The car passed by a third time, even slower now. I could see there were 2 people inside, but I couldn't make out any faces. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the car drove away and didn't come back. I checked all my doors and windows, making sure everything was locked. I turned off most of the lights so the house looked quiet from the outside. Lily was getting tired now, her eyes drooping as the cartoon played on. Come on, I said softly. Let's get you to bed. She didn't argue this time. She was exhausted. I tucked her into the guest bed and she fell asleep almost immediately, her teddy bear tucked under her chin. But sleep didn't come for me. I stayed awake, sitting in my living room in the dark, watching the street through a crack in the curtains. My phone was in my hand, emergency services ready to dial at a moment's notice. Around 4 a.m, just as the sky was starting to hint at dawn, my doorbell rang. Not a knock this time. The doorbell. Polite and official sounding. I crept to the door and looked through the peephole. 2 men stood there wearing suits and ties. One held up what looked like a badge. Police, one of them called through the door. We need to ask you a few questions about a missing person report. Everything in my gut told me something was wrong. Real police would have patrol cars, flashing lights. They wouldn't show up in unmarked vehicles at 4 a.m. to ask questions about a missing person. I stayed completely silent, not moving an inch. Sir, we know you're in there. We just need a minute of your time. We're looking for a woman and her daughter. We have reason to believe you might have seen them. My heart was pounding so hard I thought they might hear it through the door. How did they know to come here? Had they followed her mother? Were they watching the house when Lily arrived? Sir, please open the door. We're just trying to help. But I didn't believe them, not for a second. I stepped back from the door as quietly as I could and moved to check on Lily. She was still sleeping, thank God. The doorbell rang again. Then came knocking. They tried the doorknob and I heard it rattle. They were getting more aggressive. I pulled out my phone and did the only thing I could think of. I started recording video through the peephole, getting clear footage of these two men and their faces. After about 10 minutes of trying, they finally gave up and left. But I knew they'd be back. Whatever was happening, it was bigger than just a neighbor asking for a favor. I was now stuck in the middle of something dangerous with a 7-year-old girl depending on me to keep her safe. As dawn broke and light started filling my house, I knew one thing for certain. Morning had come, but Lily's mother hadn't returned like she'd promised. And those men in suits knew exactly where to find us. We were in serious trouble. When Lily woke up the next morning, the first thing she did was ask for her mom. I didn't have a good answer for her. All I could say was that her mother must have gotten delayed, but she'd be back soon. The look on Lily's face told me she didn't believe me any more than I believed myself. I made breakfast. Scrambled eggs and toast, nothing fancy, but Lily ate without complaining. She was quieter than she'd been the night before, more withdrawn, like she was preparing herself for bad news. After breakfast, I tried calling her mother's number again. Still nothing. Straight to voicemail. I left another message, trying to keep the panic out of my voice. Hey, it's your neighbor. Lily's doing fine, but we really need to hear from you. Please call back as soon as you can. I sat down across from Lily at the kitchen table. Listen, I think we need to talk about what's really going on here. Your mom is in some kind of trouble, isn't she? Lily nodded slowly. She put down her fork and looked at me with those serious eyes that seemed too old for her age. She told me some things, Lily said quietly. She said if she didn't come back, I should tell someone I trust everything I know. You can trust me, I said. I promise I'm going to do everything I can to help you and your mom. That's when she told me the whole story. Well, as much as a 7-year-old understood about what was happening. Her mother worked as a bank teller, like she'd mentioned before. But about 3 months ago, she'd stayed late one evening to finish some paperwork. That's when she overheard her manager talking on the phone in his office. The door was slightly open, and she heard him discussing moving money. Large amounts of money. Money that shouldn't be moved. At first, she didn't think much of it. But then she started noticing things. Patterns in the transactions. Money going to strange accounts. Her manager meeting with people who didn't look like typical bank customers. They looked dangerous. She started documenting everything she saw. Taking notes. Making copies of suspicious transactions when she could. The notebook Lily had shown me was part of that evidence. Mom said she was going to give everything to the FBI, Lily explained. She had a meeting scheduled with them. But then those men started following us and she got scared. She said they found out what she was doing. My mind was racing. This wasn't just some small-time trouble. This was serious criminal activity. And her mother had stumbled right into the middle of it. Now these people wanted to silence her and they knew she had a daughter. Did your mom ever mention any names? I asked, besides her manager. Lily shook her head. She said it was safer if I didn't know too much. But she said there were bad people at the bank and bad people who used the bank to hide money. Money laundering. That's what this was. I didn't know much about crime, but I'd watched enough documentaries to understand the basics. These weren't the kind of people who let witnesses walk away. That's when it hit me. The reason her mother chose me. A random neighbor she barely knew. I wasn't connected to her life in any meaningful way. Not a friend, not family, not a coworker. Just someone from the neighborhood. If these people were tracking her usual contacts, they wouldn't think to check with me. At least not right away. But those men at my door last night meant they'd figured it out somehow. Which meant we weren't safe here anymore. Lily, does your mom have any other family? Grandparents? Aunts or uncles? Anyone we could call? My grandma lives in another state, she said. But we haven't talked to her in a long time. Mom said it was better that way. To keep her safe, I nodded, understanding. Her mother had isolated herself to protect the people she loved. But that also meant she had nowhere to turn when things got dangerous. I made a decision. We couldn't just sit here waiting. I needed help from someone I could trust, someone who might actually know what to do in this situation. I called my friend Ryan. We'd gone to college together, and he'd ended up becoming a police detective in a city about 2 hours away. If anyone could give me advice without putting us in more danger, it was him. He answered on the third ring. Hey man, long time no talk. What's up? Ryan, I need your help. I'm in a situation and I don't know what to do. I explained everything. The late-night visit Lily, the mother who didn't come back, the men at my door, the money laundering scheme. Ryan listened without interrupting. which was one of the things I'd always appreciated about him. He knew when to just listen. When I finished, there was a long pause. "This is serious," he finally said. "Like, really serious. If what you're telling me is true, these aren't just regular criminals. This sounds like organized crime. What should I do? First, don't call your local police. If there are people at the bank involved, there might be people in local law enforcement involved too. It happens more than you'd think with these operations." My stomach dropped. So I'd been right not to open the door last night. "I'm going to make some calls," Ryan continued. "I have contacts at the FBI. They handle this kind of case. But in the meantime, you need to keep that little girl safe. Don't leave your house. Keep the doors locked, and if anyone comes to your door claiming to be police, don't open it. Ask for badge numbers and call me immediately to verify. What about her mother? I'll see what I can find out. Give me her name and any information you have." I told him everything I knew, which admittedly wasn't much. Ryan promised to call me back within a few hours and made me promise to stay put. After hanging up, I felt a tiny bit better. At least I wasn't completely alone in this anymore. But I was also more scared than before. If Ryan was right about how serious this was, then Lily's mother might be in real danger. She might already be hurt or worse. I couldn't think like that. Not with Lily sitting right there looking at me for reassurance. "A friend of mine is going to help us," I told her. "He's a detective. A real one. He's going to help us find your mom and keep you safe." "Okay," she said quietly. "Then can I watch TV?" Kids have this amazing ability to compartmentalize. While I was sitting there stressed beyond belief, she just wanted to watch cartoons. I put on her favorite show and tried to calm my racing thoughts. Around noon, Ryan called back. "I've got news. Some good, some concerning. Tell me." "The good news is the FBI has been investigating the bank your neighbor works at. They've been building a case against several people there for money laundering. Her name came up as a potential witness who'd been in contact with them." "So she really was planning to testify?" "Yeah, but here's the concerning part. She missed her scheduled meeting with them 3 days ago. They've been trying to reach her since, but she's gone dark. They filed it as a missing person case, but they're treating it as a potential witness protection situation." "What does that mean?" "It means they think the people she was going to testify against found out and are trying to stop her. The FBI wants to help, but they need to know where the daughter is. They need to protect her too." I looked over at Lily watching cartoons with her teddy bear. "How do I know I can trust them? How do I know some of them aren't involved? The agent I spoke with is solid. I've worked with him before on a joint task force. His name is Agent Torres. He's going to call you directly in about 10 minutes. He'll give you verification codes that you can use to confirm his identity through the FBI's public office. He'll explain everything." Okay, I can do that." "You're doing the right thing," Ryan said. "This kid is lucky her mom chose you." After we hung up, I sat down next to Lily. "Hey, so some people are going to help us find your mom. They're the good guys, I promise. But we might need to go somewhere safer than here. Would that be okay?" She looked at me with those big eyes. "As long as you come with me." "I'm not going anywhere," I promised. "We're in this together now." 10 minutes later, my phone rang. "Unknown number," I answered carefully. "Is this the residence of—" And he said my full name and address. "Who is this?" "My name is Agent Torres with the FBI. I believe you have some information about a witness in one of our cases, and I believe you're currently protecting her daughter." My heart was pounding, but I followed Ryan's instructions. I got the verification codes and called the FBI's public office to confirm this was really a federal agent. It checked out. "We need to bring you both in," Agent Torres said. "We can protect you, but we need to do it now. Those people know where you live, and they're not going to stop." "What about her mother?" "Do you know where she is?" There was a pause. "We're working on that. We have some leads. But right now, my priority is keeping her daughter safe." He gave me instructions. A car would come to pick us up within the hour, unmarked. He described the vehicle and gave me the license plate number to verify. We'd be taken to a secure location where we could talk properly. I looked at Lily. She deserved to know what was happening. "Your mom was trying to help stop some bad people," I explained gently. "Now some other good people are going to help us, and they're going to try to find your mom. We're going to go with them to a safe place. Is that okay?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "I want my mom." "I know, sweetie, I know. We're going to do everything we can to bring her home." As we waited for the FBI to arrive, I gathered Lily's things. Her backpack, her teddy bear, the notebook with all the evidence. I thought about how just 24 hours ago I'd been sitting at my computer, living my quiet, boring life. Now I was caught up in a federal investigation, harboring a witness's child and waiting. The car that pulled up exactly 1 hour later matched the description Agent Torres had given me. Black SUV with tinted windows, the correct license plate. I watched from my window as a woman in a dark suit stepped out. She looked around carefully before approaching my door. When she knocked, I checked the badge she held up to my peephole. It matched the information Ryan had given me. I opened the door, keeping Lily behind me just in case. "I'm Agent Kim," she said professionally. "Agent Torres sent me. Are you ready to go?" I nodded. Lily gripped my hand tightly as we walked to the vehicle. Agent Kim opened the back door for us and we climbed in. Another agent was driving, a man who nodded at us but didn't speak. As we drove away from my neighborhood, I felt both relief and anxiety. Relief that we were getting away from whoever had been watching my house. Anxiety about what came next. "Where are we going?" I asked. "A secure facility about 30 minutes from here," Agent Kim said from the front seat. "Agent Torres is there waiting. You'll be safe, I promise. We've done this many times before." Lily was quiet the whole drive, staring out the window with her teddy bear in her lap. I could only imagine what was going through her mind. She was 7 years old, being driven away by strangers because her mother had witnessed something dangerous. No child should have to experience this. The secure facility turned out to be a plain-looking office building in an industrial area. We were taken through a side entrance and up an elevator to the 3rd floor. The rooms inside looked nothing like the boring exterior. This was clearly a command center of some kind, with computers, monitors, and agents moving with purpose. Agent Torres met us in a conference room. He was older than I expected, probably in his 50s with gray hair and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. "Thank you for coming in," he said, shaking my hand before kneeling down to Lily's level. "You must be Lily. I'm Agent Torres. I'm working with some good people to find your mom. Is it okay if we talk for a little bit?" Lily nodded shyly. We spent the next hour going over everything. I told them about the late-night visit, the notebook, the men who came to my door. Lily was incredibly brave, answering questions about what her mother had told her, what she'd noticed over the past few weeks. Agent Torres was gentle with her, never pushing too hard when she got upset. When she started crying while talking about her mother, he gave her a tissue and waited patiently. "Your mom is very brave," he told her. "She was trying to do the right thing by coming to us. The information she gave us is helping us stop some very bad people." "But where is she?" Lily asked. "Why hasn't she come back?" Agent Torres exchanged a look with Agent Kim. "We're not entirely sure yet, but we're doing everything we can to find her. That's why we need the notebook you brought, and anything else your mom might have given you." I handed over the notebook and my phone with the photos I'd taken. Agent Torres flipped through it, his expression growing more serious with each page. "This is good. Really good. Your mom documented everything perfectly. Dates, times, account numbers, names. This is exactly what we needed to connect all the pieces. So you can arrest these people?" I asked. "We're planning raids for tomorrow morning. Multiple locations simultaneously. The bank, several businesses they've been using to move money, and some residences. We're going to shut this whole operation down." "What about Lily's mom? Will you find her when you raid these places?" Agent Torres hesitated. "We have reason to believe she was taken to prevent her from testifying. We're tracking several possible locations where they might be holding her. The problem is, if they realize we're moving in, they might—" He stopped himself, glancing at Lily. But I understood what he meant. If these criminals knew the FBI was closing in, they might hurt her mother to eliminate the witness. "So what happens now?" I asked. "For the next 24 hours, you both stay here. We have secure rooms, food, everything you need. Once we complete the raids tomorrow morning, we'll have a better picture of the situation and can make plans from there." A social worker came to take Lily to a kid-friendly room they'd set up. It had toys, books, and a TV. I promised her I'd be right down the hall and she could come find me anytime. Once she was gone, Agent Torres's demeanor changed. He was all business now. "I need you to understand something. The people we're dealing with here are not amateurs. This is a sophisticated money laundering operation connected to organized crime. They've moved millions of dollars through that bank over the past 2 years. How did no one notice before? They were careful. Small transactions, spread across multiple accounts, hidden in legitimate business dealings. Lily's mother noticed because she was detail-oriented and had access to records most tellers don't see. She connected patterns that others missed. And now they want to silence her. Yes. But with the evidence she provided and what you've given us today, we have enough to take them down. The question is whether we can find her before they decide she's too much of a liability. The weight of that statement sat heavy on my chest. Somewhere out there, a woman who'd knocked on my door asking for help was in danger, and her daughter was down the hall playing with toys, trying not to think about the fact that her mother might never come home. There's something else, Agent Torres said. Those men who came to your door last night. We pulled footage from traffic cameras in your area. We identified them. He turned his laptop around to show me photos. I recognized them immediately. The same two men I'd seen through my peephole. The one on the left is Victor Reeves. He's a hired enforcer with ties to organized crime. The one on the right is his partner, Tony Marsh. They're not police officers, obviously. They're the kind of people you send when you want someone found and silenced. My blood ran cold. I'd been face to face with actual criminals. If I'd opened that door... You did the right thing, Agent Torres said, reading my expression. Your instincts saved both of you. Over the next few hours, I watched the FBI prepare for their operation. Agents came and went. Phones rang constantly, plans were made and revised. The scale of it was overwhelming. They weren't just going after a few people at a bank. This was a takedown of an entire criminal network. Evening came, and I sat with Lily in the common area. We ordered pizza, and I tried to keep things as normal as possible. We played a board game, watched a movie. She was putting on a brave face, but I could see the worry in her eyes every time she thought I wasn't looking. Around 8 o'clock, Agent Torres came to find us. His face was grim. We've located a possible site where they're holding someone, an abandoned warehouse near the river. Thermal imaging shows one person inside, possibly restrained. We're assembling a team now to check it out. Is it her? I asked, not wanting to get Lily's hopes up. We don't know yet, but we're going to find out. I'll update you as soon as we have confirmation. The next 3 hours were the longest of my life. Lily eventually fell asleep on the couch, exhausted from the emotional day. I stayed awake watching the clock, waiting for news. At 11:15, Agent Torres came back. This time he was smiling. We found her. She's alive. Injured but alive. We're bringing her to the hospital now. Relief flooded through me. Oh, thank God. Can we see her? Soon. Let her get checked out first. But yes, we can arrange for you to visit in the morning. I gently woke Lily up.
Hey, sweetie.
I have good news. They found your mom. She's safe. Lily's eyes went wide, and then she burst into tears. Not sad tears this time. Happy tears. Relief tears. I hugged her tight while she cried into my shoulder. Can I see her? She asked between sobs. Tomorrow morning. First thing. I promise. That night we both slept in the FBI facility. Real sleep for the first time since this whole thing started. Tomorrow would bring more questions, more interviews, more complications. But tonight we could rest knowing that Lily's mother was alive and the people who'd tried to hurt her were about to face justice. As I lay in the uncomfortable cot they'd provided, staring at the ceiling, I thought about the chain of events that led here. One woman's bravery in speaking up about something wrong. One neighbor's decision to help when asked. And now, because of those choices, an entire criminal operation was about to crumble. Sometimes doing the right thing is scary. Sometimes it's dangerous. But it's always worth it, always. The next morning came early. Agent Torres knocked on my door at 6 a.m., holding 2 cups of coffee. The raids went down an hour ago, he said as I stepped into the hallway, still groggy. Simultaneous operations at 7 locations. We arrested 14 people, including the bank manager and several other key players. Seized financial records, computers, everything. This operation is done. That's incredible, I said, taking the coffee gratefully. Your neighbor's testimony and evidence made it possible. She's a hero, honestly. Most people wouldn't have the courage to do what she did. How is she? Can we see her? She's at Memorial Hospital. They're treating her for dehydration, some bruising, and a minor concussion, but she's going to be fine. I've arranged for you and Lily to visit at 8. I woke Lily up with the best news she'd had in days. Her mother was okay, and we were going to see her in just a couple of hours. She was so excited she could barely sit still through breakfast. The hospital visit was emotional. When we walked into the room and Lily saw her mother, she ran to the bed crying. Her mother, despite having an IV in her arm and bruises on her face, hugged her daughter like she'd never let go. "I'm so sorry, baby," she whispered into Lily's hair. "I'm so sorry I left you. I had to keep you safe." "It's okay, Mom, I'm okay. He took care of me." Lily pointed at me, standing awkwardly by the door. Her mother looked up at me with tears streaming down her face. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I know you didn't sign up for any of this. I didn't know where else to go." "It's okay," I said. "I'm just glad you're both safe now." She reached out her hand and I took it. She squeezed hard. "I noticed you," she said, "over the past year. How you helped people in the neighborhood, how you shoveled snow from Mrs. Rodriguez's walk, how you helped that teenager change his tire. You never asked for anything in return. You just helped, because it was the right thing to do. When I needed someone trustworthy, someone who wasn't connected to my normal life, I thought of you." "I'm glad you did," I said honestly. "Lily's an amazing kid. We managed just fine." Over the next few days, more details came out. The criminals had grabbed her mother after she left my house that night. They'd been watching her, waiting for an opportunity. They took her to that warehouse, trying to force her to tell them where she'd hidden the evidence and whether she'd talked to the FBI yet. She'd refused to give them any information, even when they threatened her. She kept them guessing, kept herself alive, knowing that someone would eventually come looking, and the FBI did, thanks to the evidence we'd provided. The investigation uncovered money laundering totaling over $15 million. The operation had been running for 3 years, using the bank to hide money from various criminal enterprises. The bank manager and several associates were looking at serious federal charges. Lily's mother would be entering witness protection temporarily, just until all the trials were complete. It would mean a new city, new names, a fresh start. The FBI offered me protection too since I'd been involved, but I declined. The main players were all arrested, and I wasn't a direct witness to their crimes. I'd just been a neighbor who helped out. 2 weeks later, before they left for their new location, Lily and her mother came to my house one last time. It was a Saturday afternoon, sunny and peaceful. Nothing like that chaotic Thursday night when this all began. "We wanted to say goodbye properly," her mother said. She'd told me her name was Rachel, though I knew that would change soon as part of her new identity. "And thank you again," she added. "The FBI told me about those men who came to your door. If you'd opened it." "But I didn't," I said. "It all worked out." Lily ran up and hugged me tight. "Will I ever see you again?" "Maybe someday," I said, not wanting to lie to her. The truth was probably not. Witness protection meant cutting ties with everyone from their old life. "But you'll remember me, right?" "And I'll definitely remember you." "I'll remember," she promised. "You're like my hero." "Like a superhero but without the cape," I laughed. "I'm definitely not a superhero. Just a regular guy who tried to help." Rachel handed me an envelope. "Don't open this until we leave." "Promise?" I promised. They walked back to the car where an FBI agent was waiting to drive them to their new life. Lily waved from the back seat until they turned the corner and disappeared from sight. I went inside and opened the envelope. Inside was a letter and a photo. The photo showed Lily smiling, holding her teddy bear, taken the morning at the FBI facility. On the back she'd written in crayon, "Thank you for keeping me safe. Love, Lily." The letter was from Rachel. "I don't know how to properly thank you for what you did. You could have turned us away. You could have called someone else to deal with it. You could have protected yourself and stayed out of it, but you didn't. You opened your door, you protected my daughter, and you helped save my life. The FBI agent told me you stayed up all night watching over her, that you played games with her and made her feel safe when I couldn't be there. That's a debt I can never repay. You're proof that there are still good people in this world, people who help not because they have to, but because it's the right thing to do. I hope you know how special that is. Thank you for being the person you are. Wherever we end up, whatever names we have, Lily and I will never forget you. With eternal gratitude, R." I sat on my couch holding that letter and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Purpose. For years I'd been living my quiet, safe, predictable life, going to work, coming home, keeping to myself. But in those few chaotic days, I'd been part of something meaningful. I'd helped protect a child. I'd helped stop criminals. I'd made a real difference. It changed me. After that, I started paying more attention to my neighbors. I introduced myself to people I'd only waved at before. I helped Mrs. Rodriguez not just with groceries, but also drove her to appointments when she needed it. I joined the neighborhood watch. I became more connected to the community around me. A few months later, I got a postcard with no return address. Just a picture of a beach and 2 words, "We're good." I knew it was from them. Somewhere out there, Rachel and Lily were living their new life, safe from the people who'd tried to hurt them. And I'd played a small part in making that possible. People always say they'd help others in an emergency. They'd be brave if the situation called for it. But when that knock comes on your door at night when someone asks you for a favor that might complicate your life, it's easy to find excuses. It's easy to close the door and go back to your comfortable existence. I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm glad I said yes when Rachel knocked on my door. Because that decision, that one moment of choosing to help led to so much good. It saved a life. It brought down criminals. It showed a little girl that there are people in the world she can trust. And it taught me that the biggest moments in our lives often start with the smallest actions. A knock on the door, a request for help, a choice to get involved when it would be easier not to. Life is quieter now. I'm back to my routine, my work, my peaceful evenings. But sometimes I look at that photo of Lily with her teddy bear and I smile. Because I know that somewhere out there she's growing up safe and happy. And I had something to do with that. That's worth more than all the quiet, comfortable nights in the world. They say you never know when your moment will come, when you'll be called to do something brave or important. For me, it came at 10:30 on a Thursday night, with 3 urgent knocks on my door. I'm just grateful I answered.